Who here has ever had anybody yell at them, "Get your shoes on"? Some of us, it's been a while, but some of us have had people yell at them, "Get your blinking shoes on." Who here has recently yelled at someone to get their shoes on? It comes to all of us. All right? It's a funny thing. Will you just get out the door? We've got stuff to do. It's a common scene in households around the Western world. If you're going out, you have to be ready. It's true. If you've got a job to do, you've got to have the right shoes on. Absolutely. If you're coming to church, apparently you need wheels in your shoes. This is one of the ways of coming appropriately dressed to church, so you can whiz up and down. If we had a flatter floor, we would never see us. You'd always be in church. But you need the right things on. You're going hiking shoes. I've got some very expensive running shoes for my marathon training. You've got to have the right ones on. It's a nice excuse. Did you notice what Jesus told the disciples to wear when he sent them out in this passage? Were you listening? What's that? Not much. And what did he say about footwear? No sandals. Jesus said, "I'm sending you out. Take your shoes off." That is mad, right? Now, I'm assuming that they had tougher feet back then than I do. Possibly as tough as Victoria. Victoria likes to wander out with no shoes on. But they weren't magic feet. So we're going to think about Jesus sending these people out without their shoes on. And it's not like they had nice, smooth tarmac and concrete. That hadn't been invented yet. That's what we're going to be thinking about. We're going to look at their mission, these 70 people that were sent out, and our mission. I have kind of one big point to make. But this is going to be one of those sermons where I had about 15 other points to make. So I'm just going to throw them at the wall to see what sticks. Because I think that sometimes God does that with us. I throw things out and God says, this is the bit that you need. This is the bit that you need. Because there's a lot going on in this. And if you really want a different point, then Paul's sermon from the first service was just as good. So, Jesus has got these bunch of disciples. He's got 70, perhaps 72 disciples ready to go out now. And we're in Luke chapter 10. So he's been at this for a bit now. Previously, he sent out just his close ones, the 12, like the hardcore, the people who'd had a proper bit of teaching. But now he's sending out everybody. And he says, go off to all the local villages. He sends them off in pairs. Announce the good news of the kingdom of God. And there you go. But he tells them to go with no shoes on. He gives them instructions. We'll get to some of those details later, but I think that's really interesting. It makes an interesting point about vulnerability. If you walk a long way with no shoes on, you are going to get sore feet. And you're going to turn up at people's houses needing stuff. You can't turn up with your big boots on and go, "Oh, it's not working here, I'll crack on." You can't afford to buy anywhere to stay. You haven't got any money. You haven't got a staff. You haven't got a cloak. You're going to get to this village with your buddy. He sends them out in pairs, so that's really nice. And when you get there, you are going to be needy. So they were, weirdly, expertly prepared for this, but not in the way that we think. It's a peculiar thing to turn up somewhere broken and needing help. It's really interesting what we had in the notices this morning about being broken and that being a really good way to connect with people about mission. I was trying to think about when I have needed people to look after me. What is it about mission where sometimes you turn up and you need people to help you? When we moved in nearly 4 years ago in 2 weeks, in Victoria and Amelia, moved into the vicarage, and for various administrative reasons and fallings over in systems and such. When we got there, I think, if I recall correctly, there was a toilet. I think there was a working toilet. There was not a kitchen. There was just kind of a room with some boxes still in their flat pack stuff. There was not a hot shower or a bath. We could get some of the beds on the floor, but we had to paint it because some stuff had only just been done. So the vicarage, as I've been glamping and had it be better accommodated than that, just for a couple of weeks. It was a little tricky. Thinking, well, that's not very good. What are we going to do? Because we haven't got to eat and get washed. It was hot and we were painting and sanding. We were filthy and a bit smelly and quite hungry. So we ended up, for those first 2 weeks, being fed and washed by the people of this church. Not literally. They had bathrooms and we shut ourselves, fine. But we sat and we ate with people, and we turned up cross and hungry and desperate and in need. And people welcomed us in. And we were told in this passage, announce that the kingdom of God has come near. I tell you what, in those places that we were, with complete strangers who were a bit used to, well, the vicar's coming. The vicar doesn't normally turn up at our place in desperate need. We're all told at like a vicar college, they say, you've got to keep a healthy distance. Make sure you lock the door on your day off. Don't be friends with the people in the parish. You're there to be their priest. You're supposed to be a bit sort of aloof and distant is one of those ways of being a priest. We had to turn up with, have you got a towel? Ours are still packed and there's dust everywhere. Will you look after us? And the kingdom of God was there. Not because the vicar was there, but because people were looking after us. When you send people out with sore feet, needing looking after, conversations about the kingdom of God are very, very much easier. It was an incredible blessing. It was really true. Sometimes I've seen street preachers. You've been up and down in Leeds. There's been a resurgence in that lately. There have been people stood in the middle of Leeds Centre shouting at people that the kingdom of God is near. Have you seen those people? Have you seen them on films? I don't know what's going on with that. I'm not sure what I think of that. I have not yet met anybody who has heard somebody shouting at them about the kingdom of God being near and thought, oh, right, I should change what I do, go to church and listen. I don't think the people we know who don't yet know about the kingdom of God respond very well to being shouted at or hectored or lectured. I've not heard of it. Maybe they do. Maybe there's a calling there and occasionally somebody does turn around. I'm not telling them they should stop, but I haven't found it very useful. Some of the people who started me coming back to God when I was a long way away were the people who said, sure, come on in, be at home, let us be with you and not judge you. And that made a huge difference. The kingdom of God, Jesus knew this. He sent these people out. He didn't send them out armed with swords. He didn't send them out even very well dressed. He said, you turn up in need and you wait for people to invite you in. And that's how we get to announce the mission of God, the kingdom of the presence of God. I don't quite know what to do with that. I'm not sure we're supposed to go out in Calverley without our shoes on. But metaphorically, there's got to be something in the humility that we're called to approach people with the good news of the kingdom of God. Now we're going to get into these other little facts. I want to see which of these chime with you. This is interesting. He sent them out in pairs, 2 by 2, and apparently, I am told by a trustworthy source that that phrase 2 by 2 is the same as in the Noah's Ark story, which would mean one of each gender, which is clever, right? Because in patriarchal societies, I can't turn up and start talking to women. That wouldn't be appropriate. Women can't turn up and start talking to men. That wouldn't be appropriate. But if Kim and I go out together, well, we've got the place covered. It's a sensible way of going out, making sure you've addressed people's needs. Jesus was smart. He knew how to work feminism back in the day. That's really nice. Who do we go with that complements us if we've got a job to do? If we've got things to say about the kingdom of God to anybody or anything, who do we go with? It was a rhetorical question, but we'll come to some answers afterwards. It's interesting that he sent all of them, not just the 12. There is a time when it's going to be me and Kim and Brenda and Sandra and Fiona who runs Barn Babies, people who run ministries whose job it is to talk about the kingdom of God. It is Olivia's job on Sunday mornings with Kids Church to talk about the kingdom of God. And it's just those people, that's fine. And there are times when it is all of our jobs to talk about the kingdom of God, to announce the presence of it. It's really interesting. They weren't experts though. If all of us are called to go, then all of us must be equipped. You don't have to be really good at this. You don't have to be special because Jesus is special. The presence of the kingdom of God and turning up with no shoes on is special. People go, what's going on here? I've used that phrase before from Dietrich Bonhoeffer. We are called to live lives of such astonishing grace, it makes atheists question their unbelief. Like we should be living such a glorious life. People go, oh, you're lovely. What's going on with that? And we do well. Like that's what happens. The beer festival happens. People come in and go, oh, you're all nice. Like, yeah, come back. Like that's how it's supposed to work. That's that. I thought it was interesting that they're sent out with instructions. Go and announce the good news of the kingdom of God. Not come back with 15 disciples each. They're told what to do and who to be. They're not given achievement targets. It's not about what gets done. It's about what you do. I thought that was interesting. You're told to go out and announce the kingdom of God. They were told to heal people. I don't know what to do with that. I don't have a sermon on going out and healing people. We have hospitals and doctors now. Does that mean God isn't sending us out to heal people and pray for them when they're poorly? I don't know. I know churches that do a lot of praying for people to be healed. I've heard stories of people being healed. I've mostly seen people looked after, listened to, and given a lift to the doctors, and I think that's just as important. And the presence of loving people in your life is healing and restorative. We'll need more sermons on that, but there's something about going out to the people who are needy and helping them with what they need. And the message was peace, and this is the thing, I think, that got Jesus crucified. This was the surprising thing. People were waiting for someone to turn up and go, right, we had enough of the Romans being in charge, and before that the Greeks being in charge. We're going to sort that out, then it'll be the kingdom of God. So they were looking for Jesus to turn up with a sword and an army, and he didn't do that. He sent people out humbly, and he said, peace. This is how this works. This is what is radical. And it kind of didn't work, did it? Because he got crucified. It was a terrible plan. Apart from that it did work, because they were listening, and we're still talking about it all these years later. I want us to think about and ask God about and look out for what are those things that the world is saying and doing, the expectations that people have, that Jesus' mission and message is the opposite and surprising and difficult, and yet it works. I don't know what, that's a lot of different things that it could be, but peace is one of them. Right, this is the bit, I've run out of my words now. Sometimes these sermons are very carefully planned, and sometimes I didn't know what to put in this bit. I had wondered about sending you out. Thought we could go for a walk. And then I thought, well, I won't, because later at the end of the service, you get sent out every week, right? But I want us to have a think for a moment. If Jesus turned up and said, right, you guys, I'm sending you out. You've got to go and talk to your neighbours and turn up with broken feet and ready to be listened to, and talk about the kingdom of God. Okay, actual question. Who's super comfortable doing all of that? Just you. Probably Adam. And Val, right? Yeah, I have. You're brilliant. A tiny number of us. That's the 12. But he sends all of us. I am not super comfortable with that. And it's a bit easy for me, because I turn up and I've got my dog collar on, and people kind of expect me to bang on about God. But some of us are not very comfortable with that. It's hard, right? But I think there is something that we're called to do. I'm not going to send you out now. And to be fair, when I was going to send you out, it wasn't to talk to people. I was going to send you out to look and think and pray. Say, where in Calverley are we not yet? Where are the people who don't know this? We do well. Our church is amazing. Jonathan was telling me about a church he was visiting, and their parish share every year is £4,000. And ours is 68, 70 at the moment, and next year it'll be nearly 90. It's going up every year, and because that's a fair amount for them to be able to afford, because they're in a poor area of Leeds and there's not very many people there. We are astonishingly well blessed in this church. More people come to this church from Calverley than most vicars I know in their churches. It's great. Like, we have a lot of people. Do you know how many people live in Calverley? About 6,000 now, about 6,000 people in Calverley. How many people sometimes come to this church, not including Christmas and Easter? How many do you think are on our list of reasonable connections? How many do you think? 50? We've seen 50 this morning. No, it's not bad. No, we have about 250 people who sometimes come to church. So there's about 5,750 people not coming to this church. And you know what? If they were all at the Methodist church, I would be delighted. That would be fine. If all of those people every weekend were packing up and driving to the nearest Catholic church, I would be delighted. If we were full of 5,000 worshipping Muslims and Hindus and Sikhs, I'd be delighted. If people are deeply invested in their faith, that's fine. That's where they go. I don't think those 5,750 people are doing that. Now, some of them are busy. I know that. Some of them have got football and cricket and things like that, but some of them, it just hasn't occurred to them to come to church. And I think we're supposed to do something about that. And we're supposed to live lives that make them go, you seem all right. while the world is burning down around us. You seem to be a person of peace and hope. How do you do it? And you go, well, actually, it's my faith. It's Jesus. It's church. That's a really tall order. It means you've got to get to know people. You've got to know people well enough that you're one of the people that goes to them when your shoes are broken, when you need something. You need to be close enough to people that they can see that this is helping you. I suppose this also needs to be helping you. You need to know, It is good for you to know what the kingdom is, what the good news is, how this is helping you, so that when people ask, you've got an answer. You haven't got to bang on about it. If you keep banging on about it to people, they will stop listening. But you've got to be ready when they ask. You've got to go out. They say, preach the gospel at all times. Use words if necessary. So it's worth knowing, is this good news? Be brave. There should come times. There should come conversations. And if you're praying and asking, going, I think Jesus has sent me out into Calverley. Like I live here. These are my people. Jesus occasionally has a thing to say. Psst, now's the moment. Don't bang on about it when it's not, but don't miss it when it is. I thought that was an interesting thought. Who are the people you can go to with your shoes off when things are broken? And in those moments, the kingdom of God is present, whether or not it's the moment to say something about it. So that's my question, is who are we going to go to? How are we going to go to them? And when? I'm not sending you. I hate those churches that give you the lectures and go, right, you need to be going and telling all your friends and neighbours about Jesus. I'm not going to do that to you. But if you're listening carefully, sometimes God says that to you. I tell you what we can do here at church, those of us in the middle, those of us a bit used to that, we'll put on really good courses and events and things that you can say, I tell you what, I can't really explain it very well. Come to church. They're really good at it. Come at Christmas. Come and do the start course or something like that we'll do in January. Come to the beer festival and somebody might talk about Jesus. Adam will be here. Right? We've got people who will do this really well. But occasionally, be ready, be listening out for the moment where instead of banging on about it, they ask, and it's just the moment to say something. I suppose the other question is that maybe you haven't found that yet. This is chapter 10. Are you a chapter 10 disciple who's been walking along with Jesus for a bit and you're ready to go? Even though you're a bit scared. I should at least be a chapter 10 disciple now, right? I got ordained. I'm supposed to know. I'm still a bit do I have to? Okay, I will go. But that's on me. Maybe you're not there yet. Maybe you're a chapter 1 disciple and you've still got some working out to do and you're not ready to go. I don't think Jesus sends you when you're not ready to go, but he does draw you nearer. He does draw you to communion. He does draw you back to church, and he does give you chances to pray and be with him and go, oh, maybe this is a thing for me. So we need to be listening to God. Those are my thoughts about going out on mission without shoes. I will put mine back on temporarily. Thank you, Kim.